Hi everyone, this is Terry. This is lesson 2 in creating borders or continuous designs across your fabric. Yesterday in lesson 1 we created this design, and one of the things that we used was an alignment mark. Now one of the things I want to mention to you, the alignment marks are basting stitches, so they're very easy to remove, and oftentimes after you have created the design and lined it up, you would actually remove these before you start sewing your next design, because you don't want to catch threads, as I have here, that were part of that alignment mark. Now I most likely can remove these, but I don't want to have all these little ends that are sticking up. The other thing I want to mention, if this was silk or satin, I would use my camera. I would not use those marks because I don't want to have anything show up. Now I could use something else as a marker. For instance, I could take a piece of washi tape or something like that and place it perpendicularly across the end of that design and use that as a visual reference to line things up. But oftentimes it's easier not to do that. The other thing I want to mention is yesterday I used a pencil to mark my fabric. Now in that video I told you not to use a pencil on your fabric because it may not wash away. You also want to be cautious about some of the chalk or other things that you're using. Like this is a clover marker, and I do use this for sewing, but I usually use it on the non-public side or the back side where I'm marking. You can use a chalk that is a clay chalk that is used for dressmaking oftentimes to mark something, and that will come away. But some chalk has wax, and you want to be careful. I will launder this or wash it to see if it goes away and show you. You'll see many people mark their fabrics with a friction pin on the front. I will not do this anymore on the front because I've had residue, like what I call ghost lines, that appear after the fact. When you're using a friction pin, what you do is you can iron it away. And that's true for cotton fabrics, but many fabrics that you buy, and particularly if you're going someplace like Joann's or that, and you cannot see what type of fabric it is, it may not come out of your fabric. So I'd be cautious about using friction on the public side, meaning what's facing you. So in those cases, what I like to do is use washi tape. So if I was sewing this on, say, silk dubioni or something like that, what I would do is apply the washi tape across the hoop. Or I would take a ruler and line my ruler up, and I would go across the full expanse. This tears away easily. You can see how easily it tears. It's a paper tape. And it's fairly inexpensive. This was $4.99, but I'd never pay that price because this was at Joann's, and there's 4 yards on each row. And what's nice about this is there's a color I can use for almost any application, and it easily is removable. The other thing you can use to mark is a washable marker. Now this is a washable marker that is a fine line marker, and what I'm going to do is mark this as well. And we'll spritz it before the next video, and I'll let you see if this goes away. I will caution you about using some of these fine line markers and getting it too heavy, because sometimes what happens is that, and particularly if you're quilting, it's going to bleed into your batting and your backing, and until you actually launder that, you're going to see it. So if you're making a gift for someone, think about how you're marking your fabric. You can also use something like a Hera marker, and I'm using my finger now. That definitely makes a line. A Hera marker is just a plastic marker that you drag across fabric, but you're able to see that line for the duration of the time that you need to hoop something. Now, if you were going to hoop a project like this, you want to mark across the full length of the fabric. To make it easy for yourself, do several things for hooping. I spray the front of my tearaway stabilizer with a basting spray. You can also use some of the sticky back tearaway stabilizer if you want. I use the basting spray more than I use the sticky back stabilizer. The other thing that you can do is you can take a piece of this little shelf paper, put your hoop down on it, loosen up your screw enough that it's easy for you to put your other hoop inside this hoop. There are protrusions on the back side that you can see right here. On those protrusions, you don't push your hoop beyond that. Now, I know on some of my older machines, you were told to sink your hoop, but you don't want to go past that and break these off. On the back side of this hoop, I have applied some double-sided tape, and you can see it because it's yellow. In this case, this is nothing more than Wonder Tape, which is easy to use. It has a two-sided tape that actually has paper, and you can see the paper here. And one side is sticky, and what happens is as you apply it to your fabric, you're going to pull it away, and this sticky residue is going to stick. Now, I also use Scotch double-sided tape. So let's hoop this fabric and see how easy it is to hoop without having to chase our hoop all over the table. And make sure if you're doing something like this, whatever marker you use or type of mark, that you go completely across the fabric that you're going to embroider. And what we'll do is we'll take this and we'll place it down so it's right on that line. And now the nice thing about this is you can see this is sticking. So I can lift it up. I can now pull this forward. And if you happen to loosen this screw too far, in many hoops, there is a tumbler that fits in here and that screw fits in, and there may be a spring. And that spring may pop out. So you may have to realign that and put it back together if it has popped out. Some hoops, it will not pop out. Now see how easy it is for me to get this in the hoop now? And then once I get it in the hoop, I'm going to tighten it till it's hand tight. Now, you may be a person that's like me, who's older, and it's more challenging for you to do that. The nice thing about our hoops is that this moves up and down, and you can also use that screwdriver to put it on the end. But typically, I can tighten this by hand, and now all I have to do is just make sure that it's seated all the way around. I look at the back and make sure that it's flat, and I'm ready to go to the machine for our next lesson. Thanks, everyone.